Hey there everyone, welcome to the live stream. So glad to have you. Hope you're having a great weekend. It is May 8th. Can you believe we're already a week into May? Excited to get started. My windows are wide open. It's a bit warm today. It's been almost 90 degrees, but I'm holding off turning on that air conditioning as long as possible because we haven't had too much humidity. And so I'm enjoying the nice weather as much as possible. Hoping I can make it through the evening. I'm hoping it'll cool down enough because we have some nice breeze going on. So I'm hoping that I can hold off without air conditioning through the evening. So we shall see. Hey there, Lola. It's so good to have you as always. I am adjusting my live stream. I switched computers this week, and so had to get all my software set up to make sure that it flows smoothly. So looks like everything's going smoothly. We have people joining from Facebook, YouTube, etc. If you have not joined my live stream before, it's very laid back. Sorry, I'm going to adjust this microphone. Hopefully it won't pop in y'all's ears. All right. It's very laid back. Just pop in, say hello, and watch for as long as you'd like. And we paint here on the live stream. Every week we do a new painting. However, I think in the next couple of weeks, I got looking kind of around my little spare room studio space here, and I realized I have a bunch of paintings that I started on previous live streams and said, oh, I'm going to work on that this week, throughout the week. Never did. And so I'm bringing some of those back, and we're going to work on those and try to do some additional finishing work. It'll be interesting because in the last month or two, every time I put my paintbrush to canvas, I learned something new. So that's exciting, but it will be interesting to see how that affects these paintings that are in process and what we're able to do with them. So I'm excited to do that. You may recognize this one right behind me. I'll put up the reference photo so that you all can see that. Let me put it up in the corner here. It is this little bridge. A bridge over, not really over troubled water, but over very clear, crystal, calm waters. And so we had started this a few weeks ago, probably, well, maybe even a month or two ago, and I had never finished it and really want to give it another shot. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to work on this, and if we get stuck or if we do as much as we can on this, we may switch to some of the other ones, the pansies or the tulips that we've done in the last few weeks. So that's the plan. Work on some of these that are laying around in states of hash or half done. So that's the plan. Hey there, Mom and Dad. Welcome. So glad to have you joining. I'm glad that Facebook is, I went and looked at my software and reloaded Facebook in, so that must have connected it correctly. For the last few weeks, it hasn't been live streaming on Facebook, and so I wasn't sure what was going on there, but glad to have you joining on Facebook as well. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to work on this bridge a little bit, so I'm going to move. Hi there, Anai. How are you? So glad to see you. Welcome. All right. I'll move you here. Yeah, I am glad to be doing these too, Lola. They sit, and I have the best of intentions, like all of us, right? I have the best of intentions to go back to them and then just never get it correct. So, or I guess I have the intent to do it, but it never gets done. So we'll see if we can do. And then I'm excited because in the next week or so, I have some better lighting coming, and I've said before that I wanted to get better cameras. So I sold an old DSLR camera that I had, and some lenses, and so I'm putting that money into, excuse me, some additional cameras, so I will have an actual high definition camera. My phone is high def too, but I think this will give us, you guys will have a better image. I'll be able to hopefully put it closer to the canvas. We'll see how it all works out. I'm kind of shooting in the dark with a new camera and see if we can mount it on kind of a movable arm to be able to give you closer view of the camera or of the painting. So we'll see how that comes up. Okay, tonight what I really want to do, what I want to start is working on, of course, I start live streaming and the sirens go off. Isn't that how we do every week, it seems like? All right. Okay, so tonight what I want to work on is I think I want to start over here on the tree that's here next to the bridge and kind of finish out some. The painting is kind of pretty well blocked in, and of course it's dried now. I don't know that it shows through. Sorry, I'm going to let this go by. It's really loud. They're going right down my street. Okay, there we go. Let's see if we will let those sirens go by. That was really loud. Okay, the sky we're going to have to cover again because I don't know if you could tell, but there's some of the underpaint showing through there. You can see it. And the other work we did is not very defined except some of these rocks. So we're going to give this another go. And what I want to do is kind of work on this tree in this side area a little bit and see what we can do. So we'll just get started there and kind of go one section at a time. Must be an active night. I hear even more. Sirens going, going, going. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to start by mixing just a little bit of ultramarine blue and burnt umber to give me kind of a dark value for the tree. So this is what that's giving us, kind of that dark gray value. And we'll see if we can put this in again, kind of the shape, using quite a broad brush. Just refreshing some of this shadow here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do up here in the left-hand corner, but I think I'm going to put some additional foliage up in here. So, but we'll see. We'll just see how this all plays out. Now this is darker than it needs to be, but I really want to give some of the shape here. We can always come in later with a detail brush and put it really, get it really correct. But if we give kind of a darker underbrushing, then gives us space to kind of work from. Okay. So we'll kind of go there. There we go. So you can see a little bit what we've done. We'll let that dry a little bit. It probably may need another coat. It's almost dry. It's a little tacky. What we'll do is maybe bring in some of this more blue, because there's kind of this grayish blue rock down here. And let's see if we can create that down in here. Blue. There we go. A little bit. While this is drying, I want to come over across the painting and do a little bit of work on the other side where we have this bank. So much of painting is experimentation until you get something that you want, which is fun but can also be frustrating. But it's really helpful for learning, experimenting, and growing. Because I'm not really happy with how this is, because it's not proportional. It's a little too high and a little too much. So I think I want to do some major structural work there, but I feel like I need to get some of this correct over here on this side. So I'm just laying in really dark values around which I can work. I'm going to bring in some kind of brown, maybe even a tad of yellow ochre. I don't know if that is going to work. I'm just focused on correcting some of these lines, and again, seeing if I can fix some of what I perceive as value imbalances. So let's see if we can do that. I'm going to start even to correct some of this. And I'm still using a really, really broad brush. So I'm not doing very much detail at all. Hi there, Heather. Thanks for popping in. I hope you have a good Mother's Day tomorrow. So I'm making some adjustments here. Just gonna start making those adjustments little by little, because I want to make this arch more or less not as, it needs to come down a little bit, so I want this to match, if that makes sense. So we'll just adjust this, and then we'll, obviously I'm eyeballing this, so we'll just keep making minor adjustments as we go. And I'm really liking, because in the original, there's kind of this overcast kind of yellowish haze to the water that gives us that feel that it is water. And so I'm liking how this color's coming out. So I'm just going to kind of glaze, because yellow is a very transparent color. So I'm just going to take a little of this and glaze over this kind of yellow ochre and green tinted base. And I'm going to glaze over some of this, and we'll have to come back in then and do the, you know, put more rocks and things in, which is fine. But there was a little too much red underneath when I was painting before. When I first did this, I was using too much burnt umber, and so I think this yellow ochre is a good, because it gives it that greenish feel. So we'll see. I may be totally wrong, but that's the goal. Did you find about base colors and such on your own or through a tutorial or something? What do you mean base color? Like what I'm doing now, or I've watched a lot of tutorials, but a lot of it is, I mean, I am pretty much self-taught. I'm learning as I go. So I see the actual experiment of what colors to use is totally just figuring it out. Some of the technique perhaps was gleaned from other painters, but a lot of it is figure it out as you go. Yeah. So I don't. Oh yes, the so about putting the base before the details. So there's a painter I watch often on YouTube who's a really, in my estimation, a brilliant artist in, I think he's in New Zealand, named Andrew Tischler. And he does a kind of 3-stage painting process where he blocks in the big blocks of light and shadow, which obviously include different, you know, different color. But, you know, your darkest values, your lightest values, and he starts blocking furthest away to closest. And then he does a part called modeling, which is then going in and putting in blocks of color on top of that, the blocking. The major kind of like modeling is putting in the major shapes, but it's still using a pretty big brush, pretty undefined. But this process allows you, by doing something like that, it allows you to recognize when you have something off before, like this, where I've painted almost the whole painting and then I'm like, oh, the arch is off. Because now I'm going to have to, now at my level, I don't mind going back, well, any level, I don't mind going back and repainting, but it's kind of, would have been nice to do it right the first time, right? So, but yes, that's kind of, I watched a lot, and I still watch a lot of his work. And so I watch what he does and try to mimic in my own experience. I try to create that same process and then learn myself as I go. I don't know. I mean, it may be, obviously, like, I don't know either. Like, I'm just learning because obviously I haven't been to art school or anything. I mean, I know blocking in is a fairly fundamental component of painting or drawing, particularly painting. but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Like if there's, I'm sure with as many teachers as there are methods. You know, so everybody's a little bit different, I imagine. But this seems to work for me, or it's sort of it's working. So there's a lot of darker spots back in here, so I'm just going to kind of put some of those in, and then we'll go lay rocks over the top of them, but we'll see. But that's the fun part for me, like learning all of these things, because once you learn something, then it's like, oh, I mean, it's not rocket science. There is talent and it's an effort. Like I just messed that up. It's learning some things, but you know, then it's you learn and then you do more. Okay. I'm putting in extra like dark, and we'll go lay light stones on top of this, obviously, but just kind of forcing myself with this big broad brush to put in some big blocks of dark over this, and we'll see how it turns out. Okay, the other thing I want to work on, let me see, I want to step back a little bit, so I'm going to pull y'all back as well. I'm going to step back from this and take a look. Let me see if I can turn my painting, and I'll put you guys straight on so you can see what I'm, hopefully kind of what I'm looking at. Okay, so we can clearly see that my bridge is leaning a little bit to the right, if you see that. But I think overall, I am happy with the composition, the values and the composition on this bottom part of the painting that we have worked on. What do you guys think? The bottom half of the painting look better? Even though when we started it had more detail. I think I like this better. Okay, I think, yes, Lola says yes. All right. I can see the lighter groups of rocks in the shading you've done. Okay, good deal. Yes, that's what we're going for, because if, and what you're seeing, Heather, is what we call values, like the spots of light and dark in these different areas. If we get that right, then laying the colors and the individual like objects on top of them becomes so much easier, if that makes sense, because you are putting, basically you have the blocking incorrect, and then you can put the shapes in, and it then becomes really easy. So that's what we're going for. Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I think this is so much better, and it was just getting the values right with that yellow ochre, getting it adjusted. Now, the thing I'm thinking, which is part of my growth in the last month or so, that I'm trying to push myself, is taking a reference like this and using it as a reference and not as a like copying exactly. So what I'm thinking in my head, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to develop the skills. Oh my goodness, I need a haircut, y'all. My hair is getting so poofy on the side. Sorry, just random thoughts. I went kayaking this afternoon and took a shower, and there's no product in my hair, so it's really poofy. Anyway, that's what you get when you come to the live stream. No, so I'm really thinking about, as I am growing, I'm trying to figure out ways that I can use light and color, but to really create interest in the painting. So what is going in my head, what I'd like to do, this painting or this picture is kind of backlit, like it's kind of a cloudy day, but I'm wondering if I can create this painting and make it more interesting by imagining the sun coming in through this little glen, kind of this stream that's going through this kind of little glen or valley. And if the sun was coming in from the right hand side, let me adjust. Imagine the sun coming in this way and kind of highlights here. And I really want to see if I can use light to direct your eye into the center of the painting, which is right here, by putting like sunlight coming in this direction and then drawing into this and de-emphasize some of this that's happening up here. So let's see if we can do some of that. But right now what I want to do is work on this part, because if we can get this part correct and get these proportions correct with the values, then we can focus on those ideas of trying to play with light. So if any of y'all have ideas about how we can do that, I am parched from, I think, being out on the river today. So I'm sorry, I'm slurping in your ears. I just realized that. Yeah, so I want to adjust this and maybe even really highly saturate this with bright colors in the back, and then put some highlights here so the sun looks like it's shining through on either side of the bridge. That's what's going on in my head, my imagination right now. So let's see what we can do, but let's first fix this bridge. See if we can fix it a little bit. I think I want to bring it down, because this is kind of the horizon line. So I think I want to bring the bridge in here. So let's do some more of this. And I hear more sirens. I wonder if they're not getting too close. The ones earlier were right They must have come right from the fire station down from my house. Y'all, I am getting excited to move. The move is coming up May 28th. So we'll have about 2 more live streams here in Arkansas. And then we'll probably have a couple weeks off because I'll be moving and traveling. But I mentioned, for those of you that are regular viewers, I mentioned that just a second, I want to think this through. Okay, let's put the horizon kind of right there, and I'm just making a solid line so that I can kind of have a reference point. And then I think we're still good with this as far as those of you that, so let's just kind of draw this in a little bit. Those of you that thanks, I am excited because if this turns out, like if it turns out how I imagine it, it'll be so much more interesting than the original picture. So anyway, let's see. But I've started creating an intro for, because I'm planning to start a vlog series about the move to the mountains and all the adventures I get into. And I'm really excited about that. And so last night I was working on the intro and it's starting to come together, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Another fun project in the mountains. Okay, so let's see if we can get this shape correct. This is again just eyeballing, so we'll have to come in, but we want to I want to get, maybe I need to actually, might need to come in with a little bit of a tighter brush. Okay. I took this the other direction. Now it's getting really wobble. So Lola, yes, the vlog will be the same channel. I'm not changing channel. It'll just be a different playlist on my YouTube. So if you are following here, I'll probably at least at the beginning do just 1 video a week because I'm not a very strong video editor. It'll be more informal, just kind of day in the life type stuff. The main premise is that a lot of us kind of imagine, you know, quitting our job, running off to the mountains or the beach or whatever, and I'm actually getting to kind of experience, I mean, I'm quitting one job and going freelance, so that is a whole challenge in itself, but I'm actually doing that process, and of course, reality is much different than what we all imagine when we're sitting at that desk wishing we could just take off. So that's kind of, I want to show some of that, like what's the actual experience. So that's the main idea. And tying it into the painting, because a lot of the painting will be, I won't be painting on the vlog as much. I mean, you may see some time lapses or something, but it won't be about painting, but painting will be a part of it, because painting, one of the reasons I'm moving is to be able to spend more time painting. And so, and this painting process has been such a unique new experience, a crazy adventure. That's what the vlog is actually going to be called, is this great adventure, or this grand adventure. And so we're going to focus a little more on the adventure of moving to the mountains, but also the adventure of, you know, rebuilding or reconstituting life in a different way. Because I'll be making major change in career, geography, about everything. And so, yeah, that's the plan. All right. Now what I'm doing is I'm going to try to come in, again, working values. And start to put in some of these spaces. And I think I'm actually going to start changing this is where it'll change from the reference photo. I'm going to change some of this and start putting light on this side of the tree instead of the front side where it is in the reference photo. So we're going to come in some here a little bit. Start giving and just these, we can use the reference for where this might catch the light. The light might catch right on these spots, because obviously if the light's coming across this way, it might catch in here, but then we're going to put all of this kind of in shadow, I think. But that's what we'll kind of start playing with in the values. Hope someone's coming through about music. All right. Hey there, welcome. Yes, I do YouTube. I stream to Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, but YouTube's the main place. So glad you joined. This painting process has been a process of the last, well, almost a year now, because it started July 1st. Just teaching myself to paint on YouTube. And so, yeah, it's definitely been a journey for sure. Okay, I'm starting to correct. We're going to start correcting this, hopefully, correcting this archway. The shape, I think I came down too far, but we can easily adjust that. Let's see if we can eyeball this and get it fairly correct. So we want the outside of the wall to come up here. We'll see if we can give the illusion of some of this. There. So it doesn't, we'll have to clean up the edges a little bit, but that'll give us a little bit of, I do think I like this better. What do you guys feel? Obviously there's a little off here. These edges need to be cleaned up. What do you think compared to where it was? Remember how it was tilting so far to the right? I think we're getting closer here. What do you say? What do you feel? Does it look better? I think I'm going to take a darker, much better, much better. Okay, great, great, great. Thanks. Yeah, it feels like when I look at it, it helps. I can look down here on my computer at what you guys are seeing, and that is almost like being able to step back from the painting. It comes in similar. Okay, I want to actually come up here and, because I think I want to put this, the top of the bridge, like into shadow again, because I think I want to draw the eye through the bridge with the sunlight shining. And so we'll have put trees and things up here, but I think I want to like create just shadow across the top of the bridge. So we'll see how this works out. I may end up not ruining, but may end up being too weird. But let's kind of see if we can do something very kind of temporary, not temporary, but can change it up if we don't like it. And I think I'm going to, in the reference photo, this is lighter, but I think I am going to put this all in shadow so that this, again, we can create the illusion of sun coming through this area, and if we put it all in shadow, then it's always easier to go in. Remember what I said, one of my biggest challenges is getting whites to pop, or getting light to pop, because I come in with values that are too high. And that's one of the fundamental weaknesses of my painting at the beginning, that I realized, oh, if I desaturate my values a little bit, then I can create now I think this will still be caught a little light. I mean, we'll darken that, but light will reflect a little bit. It'll reflect over some of the rocks on this side of the... Already I'm loving this composition better. But until you put it on the canvas, you can't really tell, right? So I'm already liking this. So let's go and let's be bold. And let's do, I'm actually gonna rinse out my brush. Actually, let me do something. I'm gonna, because I'm not sure what I'm gonna do first. I'm gonna go back and take a big, I'm taking a larger brush again, kind of my large brush, and taking some, I'm gonna do a blue, you know what would be interesting? So I'm creating a bright sky blue. I'm going to do another, just a layer up here to cover, because it didn't cover very well. And we'll just put that in as a good, what we might be able to do. I'm trying to debate right now. I haven't decided on this. We're an hour in, ladies and gentlemen. Can you believe it? I can't decide if I want to do some, I could do some interesting clouds up here, or if I want just some additional trees to kind of bring the eye again back down here as the center point of, probably will end up being trees, because I want to bring the eye back down. I want the eye to be right here down in this. I want it almost to feel, when somebody looks at it, I want them to feel like there's all this life happening up here on this, at the top on this surface, and they kind of discovered this kind of hidden glen where there's this little under brook hidden away. That's the feeling I want to create when somebody views this. I want to draw them in, and then I almost want them to feel like it's kind of an enchanted trees. Yes, I am agreeing. So if you have any thoughts of about composition, feel free to throw those in as we go. I think I'm talking myself into that, Lola. Okay, so we'll just put this in here. And it's just this beautiful deep blue. And it'll probably dry darker than it needs to be, so we'll probably have to lighten it up. But if we cover this up with a lot of trees and foliage, then it won't matter. But this will kind of give us a feel. So let's go put it in here. Same deal on this side. So this year also, y'all, I think is going to be the year that I start exploring oil paints. If you've been with me the whole time, you'll know that I said I was going to work with acrylics for now until I really felt like I had somewhat of a handle on it. And I don't know that I necessarily have a handle on it, but I think this year will be the time to dive into, I think I'm going to get into some acrylics, so, or into some oils, so keep an eye out for that. We'll definitely, I also want to do this year some plein air painting, or plein air, however you pronounced it. I'm not French, or don't speak French, but I really want to try that experience. And where I'm going out in the mountains is going to be a great opportunity to do outdoor painting because there's so much beauty out there. So that's the intent. Okay, we'll let the sky dry. Oh my goodness, I can't tell you. I was really kind of nervous to start this live stream just because I didn't know if I'd be able to do this, honestly. Like, I didn't know what would happen with this painting. But I'm really loving this composition already. Just reblocking the whole thing and almost starting over. So let me do this because notice what time it is, and this is empty, so, or almost. So it's time for me to run and grab another, my hair's sticking out. Let me put this up. I got a new little, it's not dancing, but it's a be right back. I am going to run and grab some water. Y'all feel free to grab a drink or snacks, and I will be back in about, what do they say? 3 shakes of a lamb's tail? That makes me sound really old. I'll be back in just a few minutes. All right. Let's see. Every time I leave, I have to unplug my microphone and plug it back in. So, all right, we are back. Hope you all had a nice break. Okay, now we have an hour left. Let us see what we can do with this. So what I'm liking about this right now is this, even with just no detail at all, when I look at this at a distance, it already looks like there's like the sun's coming across and hitting this tree kind of down in this glen, which is what I want to do. I want to kind of bring the eye like a circle into this area here. So that's the main goal. So let's see if we can do this with some I'm trying to imagine what the tree bush situation should be here. If they should be distant trees or just clouds. I was going to put trees right up, but I really want this to kind of almost draw the eye in. So I don't want to put, I don't think, really close up trees like in the foreground here. So I'm trying to decide, do I put like some distant trees where you can't really tell what's back there? It could also be that this is kind of a little road that goes along the top, or a trail that goes across the top here. And I think I'm going to put this kind of in shadow here. Well, we don't have to make those decisions right away. So let's play with this a little bit and see if we can create really cool things happening right in this area. So let's see if we can define some of this. Now, I think I'm going to bring my, where's my dagger? Brush. And I think I'm going to take some this same color we had. I'm just adding some white to it. So we're taking the ultramarine blue, burnt umber, and some white. So I'm lightening up this kind of gray color that was, and this will be, basically we'll take this into the tree rock area, and this will be our lighter kind of highlight to kind of lay in some feelings of the highlights of where these highlights should be. Yeah, let's see. We'll kind of bring you in a little bit so you can kind of see what I'm doing. Hopefully my new camera will be able to, eventually I want to be able to afford like a DSLR mirrorless camera, like big camera, but right now it's just going to be a nice webcam. But hopefully I'll be able to eventually. Okay, so I'm going to start making some decisions about the highlights. Bring up in this tree. So the highlights are going to come down through here. There's this hey, thanks, Bill. That's what this is designed for. We do every Saturday, 7 p.m. Central. So feel free to stop in anytime and watch what's going on. And then it's just made to pop in and pop out. So thanks so much for stopping in. It means a lot. Okay. So we're kind of creating this kind of putting some shape to this, but what I'm trying to do is come in and create some definition. This is what, when I was talking about the 3 stages earlier with Heather, the modeling stage. So now I would say this is probably more the modeling stage. Like, where are, like, these aren't very defined structures, and it's very broad brush strokes. But where is the sun kind of hitting? And I'm kind of just doing X and Y so we can, again, check our composition. I think, so there's a big root that kind of comes through here that I want to keep because I think it's interesting. The root of the tree comes clear out and it's like cut off there. And so I think this is going to capture a lot of the light as it comes across. We'll put more shadow. I brought this forward, but we'll put some of that back into the shadow again. But right now, we're only thing we're really worried about is kind of where are these spots that are so we start to put in some of this. I put a little more red in. Some yellow so we can start to give the appearance of 3 dimensions. Hey there, Bob G. Thanks for joining. I am as you may recognize, returning to a painting we started like a month or so ago. So we're doing some of that. And right now I'm just modeling. I'm changing. I don't know if you were here, but I decided to change this so that the painting's going to have like the sun coming in from this side. It's not going to be exactly how the reference photo is. So we're just starting to lay in some of this. Where is the sun going to catch this? These objects that are back here, kind of sitting down in this glen a little bit. Just working on composition a little. Okay. Don't want to get too carried away here. That's the challenge with the modeling stage, is you start to see things emerge, and so it's very easy to get stuck in the, or drawn into more detail than is probably good. All right, now I have to make some more decisions. I think I want to go up here, kind of plug in that plug in some of this foliage and shadow behind this tree, just to kind of create some of that. Tighten up the, oops, I grabbed white. I don't want white, yikes. Not sure what I want to do up here, but I think I want to just illusion of trees. And it's real dark. We want to take it real dark down there. So it's like, it's not covering, but yeah, we'll give then we'll bring this there. See how that starts to come out even with no definition at all. We start to see what's happening here. And I think I want this in the shadows, this area, so that it goes, this is all kind of shadow into the tunnel or into the bridge, and it goes right into the center, which will be the other side, and the sunlight on the other side. So we're just drawing all the way through. We'll just keep making these little decisions until we get exactly what we want. Bob Ross used to talk about happy little mistakes, and that's often how it happens. You do something, you're like, oh. I don't know if you all can tell it, but see how already the composition of this piece is already stronger, like your eye wants to go right to the center just by, isn't that amazing? Like just by doing these little things, bringing things into shadow, increasing more shadow. And that's where is exciting for me. I remember when we started this, and I was saying there will come a time when I have the skill to know what I'm doing, and I was dreading that. I don't dread it as much because I recognize that's when the skill of as an artist is finally released, where now all of a sudden I can see a reference, and then I create something totally, not totally different, but out of my own head, I can create something, this beautiful little corner of the world that doesn't really exist except in my head. And it's just amazing, like, that I can create this with, and I guess that's the art, right? So, all right. And every time I do something like this, I learn more. And I get to play around more. So let's, now this side will be relatively deep shadow because the light's going to be shining. So this will be, there's shadow here, there will be light reflecting here and light here, but this side will be fairly deep in the shadow. There will be a few rocks and things that will stand out where they stick up in the light, the sunlight can catch them. But we're going to have to make those choices very, very carefully. I'm just reinforcing this composition little by little, making sure this is what I want. And there. I'm not sure if I'm going to end up ruining this whole thing by doing this so dark, but we can always lighten it up because the dark undercoat. So there's this, in my mind, there's a path that goes across the top of this wall. And it's kind of this bridge over the So I'm slowly kind of putting some of these highlights back in. Just to, I don't know if I like it. I think it's too bright already. But we'll see. Maybe not. Maybe that works. Can always adjust it, right? Actually, I want to start okay, I think I need to switch back to a smaller brush now. What I'm doing in my head is I'm actually flipping the sides on from the reference photo. Notice in the reference photo that this side has a little more light like shining here. I'm actually going to flip it over so there's more, this is more in the shadows, and then this side is more lit. So I'm making some of that shadow color, that darker, because I want to send this side, I want to keep, it's just back and forth, experimenting with the values, and this one I think we want to keep, we really want to keep this in the shadow. And this little like ridge here I think is going to be my darkest. That's where I need my darkest value to be, because that's where the light is going to be least likely to show. And then Okay. Now, while I have this, I want to come over here and redefine these darkest points. Because this will give definition to some of the lighter spots. All right. It's amazing what you can get done in 2 hours, and then also amazing what doesn't get done. Yeah, isn't this cool, y'all, how all of a sudden there are these shapes emerging, and it's such a better composition than we started with. Now I want to try something. I want to zoom out. Maybe I can. I don't know if it'll work, but I got these new brushes a few weeks ago, and so what they're really good for is creating. So there's this fan brush. Whoops, where is it? Oh, fan brush and this kind of what I'll call a stipple brush. It's an uneven brush, and these are good for creating texture. So what I want to do actually is go up here and I want to experiment on this tree a little bit. So I'm going to make a dark blend of this color, and I'm just getting the ends of the brush, and I'm using this stipple brush so you can see I just have the ends with paint on it. Now what I think I want to do is come in and start just lightly tapping. It's not even enough paint to make the texture I want. So I'll mix a little more, but I think it's the right thing. We're going the right direction. So then we'll start what this is doing is it's just creating the feeling of texture on the tree, and hopefully at a distance will then read as bark. I think you can see. So I'm going with the dark on this light side of the tree. And then we'll come in with light on the dark side to kind of give that illusion of bark. This is a technique I'll have to practice because you don't want to get too much where you change the shadow of the object, but it can be really effective. It's just patience. I think. At least it seems. We have about 10 minutes more. Let's see if we can get a little bit this and we can use this technique with stone as well. really just learning. But I think it works. Or will. Okay, now wonder if we bring a little lighter color, just a little bit lighter. No. Yeah, this gives us the basic tree. Location and kind of design and texture. So that's good. Doing the same on this rock over here because I think it's a primary feature. I want it to jump forward in front of the tree, and I want the sun to catch it. So we need a little more detail on it. We need some kind of that texture. I was just working on this rock here a little bit because the sun is going to come right across there and hit this rock. Might be too much, but we'll see. That's kind of what we're going for as we start to build this out. And let us trying to decide what will be in the background. Behind this, because we have to create something in our imagination behind this bridge. So we have to kind of eventually we'll have to choose something that sits back there. But for now, we're just going to fix this edge a little bit. Then we'll decide what we put back in there. I am much more pleased with this, how this bridge has turned out after reworking it this evening. And then bring in the same tones, just a little bit darker. We'll try to even this out as well. Yes, there are fireworks apparently going off. Tonight. I think it's the local baseball team downtown whenever they have a game. They used to. I don't know. I don't know that they're having games though. So I'm not sure what that is. If you heard those fireworks going. Oh, I don't think that's good. I think I went too far out on the side. So I look at that. I think I need... There's actually... the reflection comes further out because it's the reflection of the light this way. So it comes further out into the stream than it is high. Very slightly. Let's see if we can just get this composition, this piece correct before we call it a night. So I want to darken this a little bit. Nope. Gotta get it even darker. More dark. Nope, that's not working. Rinse the brush. Rinse the brush. Okay, now we can start over. Okay, I think this is good except for I don't like this part where I came in, so I'm gonna just lighten that up again, see if I can match the color. Kind of take that out. Actually, I want the lighter color over here. So the sun is coming there. Okay.